to CNN 10. I'm Carl Azus at the CNN Center. Thank you for spending a few minutes with us on this last day of September 2019. Officially, we are only 1 week into fall in the Northern Hemisphere, but a winter storm has descended over the Rocky Mountains. North America's longest mountain range stretches roughly 3,000 miles from western Canada all the way down to New Mexico. It's in the northern United States that a storm system is bringing huge amounts of snow, and forecasters say if their predictions pan out, this could break records, and it already has in some parts of Montana. In Great Falls, for example, 9.7 inches of snow fell on Saturday. The previous record was only 3.6 inches, and that was set in 1954. But that's only part of the story. Other areas of the state have gotten as much as 3 feet of snow. The governor has declared a state of emergency to speed up help to those who need it. Dangerous road conditions, fallen trees and power lines, homes without electricity when people want it for heat. Those are some of the storm's impacts on humans, and a record cold for this time of year also threatened cattle and crops. A CNN meteorologist says it's not unusual for some parts of Montana to get snow in September. What's shocking this time around is the amount of it. The last time a winter storm struck with this much snow this early was in 1934. That was the record, and this system could beat it. It's not just bringing a whitened winter wonderland. The gusts of wind that were blasting Montana Sunday were expected to be between 35 to 45 miles per hour. Add that to blowing snow, and you have whiteout, near blizzard conditions, according to the National Weather Service. It expects that from Montana, the storm is expected to move eastward over the northern Plains states and the U.S.-Canada border, and the cold it leaves behind is expected to be 15 to 30 degrees below average in the U.S. Northwest, though above-average temperatures are expected to stay in place from other parts of the plains to the U.S. East Coast. 10-second trivia. When a planet is at its farthest point from the sun, it is said to be at what? Apogee, perigee, aphelion, or ophidian? Aphelion is the farthest orbital point from the sun, and perihelion is the closest. Another term that some rocket scientists are discussing is Starship, and nothing's going to stop us from explaining why. Starship is the name of a prototype spacecraft. It was unveiled over the weekend by SpaceX. The private spaceflight company is also working on the rocket booster that would blast Starship off the ground. And in theory, as many as 100 passengers could be on board, headed to the moon or Mars or beyond. But it could be a while before that happens, and there are signs NASA is getting a little impatient. It's given SpaceX and Boeing billions of dollars with the expectation that the companies would be flying spacecraft with crews on them by 2017. That didn't happen. And though a SpaceX capsule successfully docked with the International Space Station earlier this year, the spacecraft was destroyed a few weeks later when a failure occurred during a ground test. Still, SpaceX and its CEO Elon Musk are pressing on, saying reusable spacecraft like Starship will be key to getting people in space and doing it more affordably.
Your goal has always been to make us a multiplanetary species, to establish a colony on Mars. Tonight, today, the unveiling of Starship, is that a turning point in that mission?
Yeah, I think this is the first time we have real hardware of something that is capable, with a little evolution, of being something that could create a self-sustaining city on Mars and a base on the moon.
And
absolutely.
You said tonight that you might be flying people in a year in this thing?
If the development continues to improve exponentially, then I think we could be sending people to orbit before the end of next year. You know, within a year approximately.
But SpaceX hasn't put a human in space yet. How are you guys going to do this in a year?
Well, we will be putting people into orbit soon. We will be transporting astronauts for NASA in probably, 3 or 4 months to the space station.
Yeah, on that point, NASA Administrator Jim Bridenstine tweeted yesterday saying that he was very excited about the event today, but he also said, quote, commercial crew is years behind schedule and it's time to deliver. Did you take that?
Did you say commercial crew or SLS?
He said commercial crew.
Oh, okay, geez.
I mean, interchangeable. No, but how do you respond to that? And did you take that as a dig?
Well, I mean, first of all, everything in aerospace is years behind, okay? It's really a question of, relatively speaking, which one is more late. So the hardware for the high altitude abort demonstration for Crew Dragon will be there in October. The hardware for the first crewed flight will be there in November. And so most of the work that is required from now through flight of NASA astronauts is a long series of safety reviews. So it's not really hardware related, and it's really going as fast as we can make it go. If there's some way to make it go fast, I would make it go faster.
Let's talk about funding. You've said in the past that Starship would cost between $2 and $10 billion. You still looking at that price tag?
I think it's
you
actually,
laugh.
Yeah. I mean, it's a big range. I mean, I think it's probably closer to 2 or 3 than it is to 10.
Is that because of the switch to steel?
The switch to steel is fundamental. You know, I think that's literally that might be the best design decision I've ever made. I can't think of a better one. The steel is lighter than the carbon fiber solution, or lighter than an aluminum lithium solution, and costs 2% as much. I mean, I really view what we're doing here as making life multiplanetary as opposed to escaping Earth. I mean, I think like 99% of our resources should be on making sure that the future on Earth is good. But I think at least 1% of our resources should be on making life multiplanetary and extending consciousness out to other planets, both for the defensive reason of preserving the light of consciousness into the future, as well as the adventure, the excitement. I find personally more motivating than the defensive argument.
So you prefer to be an optimist rather than a pessimist?
I mean, I think excitement and adventure and a sense of possibility about the future are incredibly important. Otherwise, why live?
Last time we caught up with CNN hero Stan Hayes, it was in the months following Hurricane Harvey. And Hayes' nonprofit organization was in Houston, Texas, bringing fresh barbecue meals to hungry people. He's a grand champion pitmaster, a barbecue expert. He has thousands of volunteers who've helped him deliver food to survivors and first responders. And in the wake of Hurricane Dorian, which hit the northern Bahamas on the 1st of this month, Operation BBQ Relief was at it again, crossing a milestone in the number of meals it's delivered.
We are here today in Fort Lauderdale where we're getting ready to ship over to the Bahamas 10,000 meals. This is our first international mission that we've taken. Our 3 millionth meal since we started the organization in 2011 is going over on this plane. For us, that's a huge milestone. 2 million was almost a year ago, exactly when we were in Wilmington, North Carolina. But we're going to provide, that one meal that matters, our 3 millionth time. So right there, that's got the orange wrapping on it, has the 3 millionth meal. We're going to be shipping these meals on a 1944 World War II era C-47. And this is a mid-sized cargo plane from back in the day. We hate to see disasters happen, but we're so blessed that we can provide them comfort through a good hot barbecue meal.
Get on bread?
The folks there that just need a good hot meal, they need a lift up, and that's what these meals are.
Appreciate it.
You bet. Thank you, sir. If it takes their mind away from what's happening to them for a few minutes, it means a lot.
3 million.
Oh my goodness! Yay!
It's not just the meals that we've done to date, but the meals that we're going to continue to do. And we're going to be here for many more weeks, probably, helping feed the Bahamas.
It is one thing to move to a historic home. It's another thing to move a historic home. That's what's happening here after the buyer of a 255-year-old mansion in Maryland relocated it 50 miles away. It was built to last and to float. We don't know how much the house was built for, but it was sold recently for $500,000, obviously plus moving expenses. The new owner says he plans to restore it and give it to his parents, who shouldn't mind if their son barges in because the house has been barged on. That could have been featured on Beachfront Barge on Hunt. Gives new meaning to waterfront real estate, making you feel like you're on the river because you're on the river. And while some historic homes are remarkable for still standing, this one's moving and sailing, and it brings us home sweet home on CNN.